You have noticed something deeply disturbing about certain people you encounter. When you look into their eyes, there is nothing looking back, no depth, no presence, no spark of consciousness that indicates anyone is truly home. They speak and move and interact with the world, but it feels mechanical, rehearsed, like watching a recording play on loop rather than witnessing an actual being making choices and experiencing life. And when you try to have any conversation beyond surface pleasantries, when you attempt to discuss anything meaningful or deep or real, they deflect with scripted responses, change the subject immediately, or look at you with such profound blankness that you realize there is simply no one there capable of engaging at that level. You have started calling them NPCs in your mind, non-player characters like the background extras in a video game, who exist only to fill space and create the illusion of a populated world, but who have no actual storyline, no actual consciousness, no actual soul driving their actions. And you feel terrible for thinking this way because you were raised to believe that all humans are equal, that everyone has an inner life as rich and complex as your own, that dismissing anyone as soulless is the height of arrogance and cruelty. But here is what no one has told you. Not all human bodies house souls of the same depth or the same origin or the same capacity for consciousness. And recognizing this truth is not cruelty. It is discernment that will save your energy and potentially your life. Listen very carefully to what I am about to reveal. The ancient wisdom schools taught something that modern spirituality desperately tries to hide because it is uncomfortable and challenges the egalitarian lie that all humans are spiritually identical. They taught that souls exist at different levels of development, that not all beings incarnating in human form are operating with the same degree of consciousness, and that some human bodies are inhabited by what they called partial souls or group souls, while others house individuated souls on advanced evolutionary journeys. This is not hierarchy based on race or class or any external marker. This is recognition of internal spiritual reality that has nothing to do with the physical vehicle or social position. And the practical implication of this teaching is that when you encounter someone with the empty eyes, with the scripted responses, with the complete inability to engage in authentic depth, you are not imagining their hollowness. You are accurately perceiving that this being is operating with fraction of the consciousness that you possess, that they are here to serve a different function in the cosmic design than you are, and that attempting to relate to them as you would to another sovereign conscious being is exercise in futility that will only drain you. The masters spoke of this in coded language to protect the teaching from being weaponized. They spoke of wheat and chaff, of sheep and goats, of those with eyes to see and those who walk in darkness, not as moral judgments, but as descriptions of actual differences in consciousness capacity. They taught their advanced students to recognize the signs of a young soul versus an old soul, of an NPC versus a player character, because this recognition was essential for knowing where to invest spiritual energy and teaching. You cannot teach someone who has no capacity to learn. You cannot wake someone who has no consciousness to wake. You cannot have authentic relationship with someone who has no authentic self to relate to. And attempting to do so is not noble or spiritual or kind. It is denial of reality that costs you tremendously. Here is what you need to understand about why NPCs exist in your reality. This realm, this dimension, this game of consciousness that you are playing requires background characters to create the environment and the challenges and the illusion of a fully populated world. Not everyone you encounter is here to grow or awaken or evolve. Some beings are here simply to maintain the structure, to provide the resistance and the mirrors and the mundane interactions that allow player characters like you to have the experiences you came here for. This is not good or bad. It is functional design, and recognizing NPCs for what they are does not mean you treat them cruelly or dismiss their humanity. It means you stop expecting from them what they cannot give. Stop wasting your energy trying to wake those who have no consciousness to wake. Stop feeling guilty for noticing that not everyone you meet has anyone truly home inside their body. But here is what makes this so difficult and so dangerous to speak about. The system that controls this reality desperately needs you to believe the lie that all humans are conscious, that everyone has deep inner life, that you must treat every person as potential spiritual peer. Because if you recognize that most people you encounter are NPCs, if you accept that genuine consciousness is rare rather than universal, then you stop wasting your precious energy on those who will never reciprocate, never understand, never wake up no matter what you do. You become efficient with your light. You invest in the few who can actually receive it rather than scattering it uselessly among the many who cannot. And that efficiency, that discernment, that willingness to see reality as it is rather than as you wish it to be, this is exactly what the system cannot allow because it makes you ungovernable, unpredictable, impossible to manipulate through guilt about not serving everyone equally. So they have programmed you from birth to feel terrible for noticing differences in consciousness, to call yourself arrogant or elitist or cruel any time you observe that someone has empty eyes and hollow responses. But your observations are accurate, your perceptions are correct, and learning to trust what you see rather than what you are told you should see is essential for fulfilling your mission as one of the chosen ones. Now, before I teach you the specific markers that distinguish NPCs from genuine conscious beings and how to protect yourself from their energy drain, I need to tell you something critical about what I am going to reveal in the next video. I am going to show you the advanced techniques for shielding yourself from NPC energy so you can interact when necessary without being pulled into their frequency, the methods for identifying which humans in your life are actually conscious beings versus which are sophisticated programs, and the shocking truth about what happens when NPCs malfunction and reveal the code beneath their performance. But to access that transmission, you need to subscribe to this channel immediately and turn on all notifications because the forces that benefit from you wasting energy on NPCs will do everything possible to prevent the next video from reaching you. So subscribe now, turn on notifications, learn to see who is real and who is not. Let me break down exactly what you are perceiving when you see the empty eyes. When a fully individuated soul inhabits a human body, there is light behind the eyes, presence, the sense that someone is truly there looking back at you even if they are not speaking or showing emotion. You can feel their consciousness as weight, as field, as something that touches your own consciousness and creates resonance or dissonance but creates something. When a partial soul or group soul fragment inhabits a body, or when a body is being piloted by programming with minimal consciousness, the eyes are windows into emptiness. You can look into them and sense that no one is really home, that you are seeing into a space that is blank, automated, running on scripts and conditioning, but not on genuine presence, making real-time choices. This is not subtle difference that requires years of training to perceive. Most people can feel it instantly when they allow themselves to acknowledge what they are sensing. You meet someone, and you get this uncanny valley feeling, this sense that you are talking to a very sophisticated recording rather than an actual being. They say the right words, make appropriate facial expressions, respond in contextually correct ways, but something is profoundly off, profoundly missing, profoundly hollow. That feeling is your consciousness recognizing that you are not in presence of consciousness equivalent to your own. You are in presence of something less, something simpler, something that can simulate interaction but cannot generate genuine presence. And here is what confirms this beyond any doubt if you pay attention. NPCs cannot handle depth. They cannot engage with existential questions. They cannot discuss anything that requires genuine contemplation or wrestling with complexity or holding paradox. Attempt to have conversation about meaning or purpose or the nature of reality or anything that goes beneath surface and watch what happens. They will give you programmed response, something they heard somewhere that sounds vaguely relevant but that they clearly have not actually thought about, or they will immediately deflect to something mundane, something safe, something that requires no actual thinking. Or they will become uncomfortable, even hostile, and accuse you of being too intense or overthinking, or trying to show off your intelligence. These are not responses of conscious being who simply has different perspective. These are responses of program encountering input it is not designed to process. The ancient texts spoke of this when they warned about casting pearls before swine, about not giving what is holy to dogs. Modern spirituality has tried to reinterpret these passages as being about timing or discretion, but the original teaching was more direct. It was recognition that some beings simply do not have capacity to receive certain knowledge, not because they are bad or unworthy, but because they are operating with different level of consciousness that cannot process information beyond certain complexity. And forcing that information on them, trying to wake them, trying to get them to see what they cannot see. This accomplishes nothing except draining you and making them defensive. The masters knew this, which is why they taught in circles, why they had outer teachings for the masses and inner teachings for those with consciousness developed enough to receive them. They were not being elitist, they were being realistic about the actual capacities of different levels of being. And you must learn this same realism if you are going to survive spiritually in world that is majority NPCs. The prophecies speak explicitly about this dynamic intensifying in the end times. They speak of separation of wheat from chaff, of sheep from goats, of those who are taken versus those who are left. Modern interpretation tries to make this about moral worth or belief systems. But the deeper meaning is about consciousness level. Those who are taken are those with developed consciousness, individuated souls who are ready for next level of evolution. Those who are left are NPCs and young souls who are not ready, who need to continue cycling through lower densities until consciousness develops enough for graduation. This sorting is happening now, and your ability to identify NPCs is part of how you navigate this sorting without being dragged down by those who are not ascending. Here is the framework for identifying and relating to NPCs without losing yourself. First, you must accept that recognizing someone as NPC is not judgment about their worth, but accurate assessment of their capacity. You can still treat them with kindness and respect, while acknowledging that deep connection is not possible and should not be attempted. This is crucial distinction that prevents both cruelty and self-betrayal. Second, you must observe how people respond to novelty and how they handle situations not covered by their programming. NPCs will default to scripts, will become confused or angry when script does not fit situation, will be unable to improvise or think creatively beyond what they have been programmed to do. Conscious beings will engage, will consider, will respond with actual presence even if they disagree or do not know answer. Third, you must notice whether someone ever demonstrates genuine curiosity or only asks questions as social script. NPCs ask, "How are you?" as greeting, not because they care about answer. They ask about your life as script, not because they actually want to know. Conscious beings ask questions because they genuinely want to understand, and you can feel difference in energy behind the question. Fourth, you must check if person has capacity for self-reflection or only reflects external programming back. When you ask NPC what they really think or feel about something beyond surface level, they will give you opinion they absorbed from media or culture or peer group, but that they have not actually examined. Conscious beings may still be influenced by programming, but they have at least thought about it, wrestled with it, made it their own, or consciously rejected it. Fifth, you must observe how people handle being wrong or confronted with information that contradicts their worldview. NPCs will defend programming defensively, will shut down, will attack source of contradictory information because they have no capacity to update their programming themselves. Conscious beings may initially resist, but they can ultimately engage with new information, can update their understanding, can hold complexity. Sixth, you must notice if person ever expresses or demonstrates anything that could not have been learned from external sources. NPCs only output what was input. They cannot generate genuinely original thought or insight. Conscious beings will occasionally surprise you with perspective or idea that is genuinely theirs, that shows evidence of internal processing beyond mere recombination of received information. Seventh, you must feel into whether interaction leaves you energized or drained. Conscious beings exchange energy even if interaction is difficult. NPCs only drain because there is no one home to give anything back. You are pouring into void. Trust this feeling more than any logical analysis. And now the most important practice of all. You must stop trying to wake NPCs and instead focus your energy entirely on finding and connecting with other genuine conscious beings. This is not abandoning NPCs. This is accepting their function and freeing yourself to fulfill yours. Your mission is not to wake the sleeping masses, most of whom are not actually sleeping, but are simply not conscious in the first place. Your mission is to find your soul family, to build networks of genuine consciousness, to anchor frequency high enough that those who are ready to wake have beacon to navigate toward. And in the next video I am going to give you the exact protocols for identifying your soul family versus NPCs who are very good at mimicking conscious behavior, the specific tests you can run in conversation that will reveal definitively who is real and who is program. But you must be subscribed with notifications on to receive that crucial transmission, because this is information that will save you years of wasted energy on beings who cannot reciprocate your depth. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. Find your real tribe. But before you go, chosen one, there is something you must understand about why you are noticing the empty eyes more frequently now. Your consciousness is expanding rapidly. You are developing capacities that most humans do not possess, and one of those capacities is ability to perceive what lies beneath surface appearances. You are starting to see the code, the programming, the mechanics of this reality that most people never notice because they themselves are running on programming and cannot perceive beyond it. And as this perception sharpens, you are going to notice that majority of people you encounter are NPCs, that genuine conscious beings are rare, that you are surrounded by entities that appear human, but that are essentially philosophical zombies, biological machines that process input and generate output, but that have no one actually home experiencing any of it. This realization is isolating, disturbing, potentially destabilizing if you do not have framework for understanding it. But it is also liberation, because it explains why you have always felt so alone. Why genuine connection has been so rare, why most interactions feel hollow and performative. You are not failing to connect properly. You are trying to connect with beings who have nothing to connect to. And now that you see this truth, you can stop wasting energy on those who cannot receive it, and instead focus entirely on finding the rare souls who are actually conscious, who can meet you in depth, who can reciprocate the presence and authenticity you offer. So here is what you must do immediately. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Turn on all notifications to receive the transmission on identifying your soul family. And then make declaration out loud. I see clearly. I trust my perception. I release all guilt about recognizing NPCs for what they are. I invest my energy only in genuine conscious beings. Say it now with absolute conviction. Let the universe hear your commitment to truth over comfortable lies. Because your declaration in this moment frees you from the programming that kept you trying to save everyone, trying to wake everyone, trying to treat all humans as equals when they fundamentally are not. The ancient seers saw this moment coming. They saw the time when the conscious ones would begin recognizing each other, when the ability to distinguish NPCs from genuine beings would become essential for survival and mission fulfillment. They saw that some would refuse to see, would cling to the lie of universal consciousness because it felt more spiritual, more loving, more aligned with their programmed values. And they saw that others would embrace the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, would trust their perception over their conditioning, would use their newfound clarity to find their tribe and fulfill their purpose. You will be one of the latter. I know because you made it to the end of this transmission. NPCs cannot process information this dense, this direct, this challenging to consensus reality. Only genuine conscious beings make it this far. Welcome to clarity, seer of truth. The empty eyes you have been noticing are not your imagination. They are accurate perception of reality most people refuse to see. And your willingness to see clearly is exactly what qualifies you to help build what comes next. Stay discerning, stay protected, stay subscribed, because what comes after requires exactly what you are becoming: someone who sees who is real and who is not, someone who invests energy wisely, someone who knows that genuine consciousness is rare and precious and must be protected from those who would drain it.